Okay, well, good evening, everyone. According to my clock here, it's 6:32 p.m. and it's time to begin our webinar. I'm cognizant of everyone's time, and I really want to appreciate everybody for joining us this evening. So welcome to the second in the series of webinars designed specifically for you, our 2016-17 President-elects in District 5360. This webinar this evening is focused on, again, really helping you prepare for your year as your club president. So according to my count here, we have 22 on this webinar this evening. So again, thanks to everyone for joining us. As usual, everyone will be muted with the exception of your webinar hosts. As we go through the material, should you have any questions or comments, please use the chat feature, which is at the bottom of your dialog box there. And after each key topic in tonight's webinar, I will ask Marty to share with the entire group your questions and your comments, and we will do our very best to respond to those questions and comments. Next slide, Marty. So, yeah, if you haven't already guessed, my name is Rick Istead. I'm the current district governor-elect for District 5360, and I'm a member of the Rotary Club of Calgary-Fish Creek. I will be your governor next year, and I'm really looking forward to working with you all so that we can say at the end of the year we've had a very productive and rewarding year together. Also with us tonight is Pat Killoran, past district governor in 5360, and he is our training leader for President-elect training events this year. And Pat is with the Rotary Club of Lethbridge.
Hello, folks. How are you?
Also joining us this evening is Charlene Bearden, our district administrator, and she will share information with us regarding the district website and her role within the district. Charlene? Are you there?
Hi, everybody. Yeah.
Oh, you sound like you're in a can or in a tunnel or a cave. I don't know which it is, but. And last but not least, we have Marty Bogart with the Rotary Club of Lethbridge Sunrise, and he's our techie tonight, so he's managing the technology in the background. Marty?
Hello.
Okay, so let's move on to the next slide here. So tonight's agenda, I'm going to start off by doing a quick review of webinar 1. Many of you joined us during that webinar back on September 13th, so we'll give a quick overview. But you were also sent a copy of the PowerPoint presentation as well as the webinar recording. So you did have opportunities if you didn't participate, or that if you wanted to go back and make some references, you could go back to that webinar. I'll also touch base on some best practices of a Rotary Club, and in particular, a vibrant or an effective Rotary Club. And we'll talk about the planning guide for an effective Rotary Club. And then we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive into Rotary Club Central and what it has to offer for you in terms of planning and tracking trends in membership and in foundation giving, and how to set goals and how to track the progress of those goals. And then that'll be sort of tag teamed by Pat Killoran and myself, and then Charlene will come on and sort of navigate you through the district website, because again, it's a tremendous tool, resource that is there for both information for you to help you plan and to manage and lead your club, but also allowing you to share information with others. And then we'll wrap up at the end with key dates to remember moving forward.
There's a question for you, Rick.
Okay, please go ahead. Can you state the question, Marty?
The question, I think, was whether the slide deck will be available, and it will.
Yes, slide deck and the recording of this webinar will be sent out to everybody later this week. Okay, next slide, Marty. So as a quick review, what did we cover in webinar 1? So Pat led off that session outlining the orientation and training opportunities we have for president-elects during this particular Rotary year. And Carol Rustabutko, our district training chair, she gave an overview of some key components of our district organization, showing how we're organized at the board level, board committees, and various district committees in our district here. And then I touched base on your roles and responsibilities and expectations as a club president. And then this is where, again, we moved into Rotary.org and My Rotary and really helped you outline some key information, some key manuals, resources that are available there, again, to really help you not only plan and prepare for your year that lies ahead, but also resources that will help you and your club in your leadership role. And then I wrapped up at the end with next steps and some key dates. Next slide. So coming out of that webinar, we were asked to do a number of things. One, to set www.rotary.org, which is Rotary International's public website, set it as a favorite in whatever browser you're currently using so that you can always find it quickly. Be sure that you can sign into myrotary.org, and we showed you how to register, log in, and set your password, and then really we took you into a couple of areas to help you find information that will be of benefit to you. We focused on the President's Manual, reviewing it and its various components, because it is like, or can be, like a Bible for you in terms of your year ahead. And we also went through other resources that are available for you as club president and for members or for your committee members in your club. And then we really encourage you to start beginning to work on the planning guide for an effective Rotary Club, and we'll touch base on this shortly. All of the Lead Your Club manuals, president, treasurer, secretary, various committee members, you should have all received that packet of information back in November or early December. That was sent out to all president-elects, to those clubs that we had, where we had a president-elect declared by them. I want to remind you that this particular document that you see on the slide here is, again, a key resource, a key tool to help you with your planning and to help you get ready for, again, your year as president. This particular manual is divided up into 6 main areas: plan your year, club management, your leadership, your members, promote Rotary, and the Rotary Foundation. So I really encourage you, if you have not delved through that, and it's not a heavy read, there's a lot of great information in there, but just work your way through this. I think it'll really help you, again, prepare. The next one is the planning guide for an effective Rotary Club, and what I'm showing here on this slide is really the first page of a several-page document. And again, it's also divided into certain areas, but really this is an information capture. It's a snapshot of your club, and it does require you to dig in and find some information, and we're going to help you find some of that information a little bit later in this webinar. So I hope, again, you've all found that document on My Rotary and have downloaded it and have started working on it, because again, it'll be the foundation for planning your year ahead. So let's go to a poll just to see where everybody's at. Your responses will be anonymous, obviously, so please respond truthfully. We'd like to just figure out where you're at in your planning. So just respond by answering one of those four options. I have reviewed the planning guide with my committee chairs. I have read the manual and planning guide, and committee planning will start soon. I have read these documents, but I don't yet have my committees established, and I will start planning closer to pets. So let's take a minute here and please vote. How are we doing, Marty, with... oh, isn't this interesting? So rather interesting that a third of you have read the manual and the planning guide and will start planning with your committee soon. Another third of you have also read the documents but don't yet have committees established. And another third of you will start planning closer to pets. So the only thing I would say here is that those, I wouldn't leave it closer to pets. If you have the time, I would start sooner rather than later, because I've already learned in my role as preparing for district governor for next year, earlier is better when it comes to planning and preparation. So I encourage everyone to find some time, not necessarily over the holidays, but early in the new year, to really start digging in and starting to get organized and get your planning in gear. So next slide is I want to take you to the best practices of a Rotary Club. What we've done up till now is basically a very quick review of Webinar 1, and now we're moving on to Webinar 2. And this planning guide for an effective Rotary Club, or for a vibrant Rotary Club, again, covers 6 main areas: membership, service projects, whether it's international, community, or youth, or club, or vocational, the Rotary Foundation, and you see that those two are asterisks. So we're going to touch on those when we start deep diving into Rotary Club Central. But there's also areas there on leadership development, public relations, and club administration. Next slide, please, Marty. So some of the best practices that Rotary International has listed in their website is the importance of developing long-range goals or a strategic plan that addresses the sort of the key elements of an effective Rotary Club. And goals, like anything in life, are very important. We set goals in our personal life, in our business life, and we should set goals in our Rotary life as well. Convening regular club assemblies, they're called different things by different clubs, but this is an opportunity for your membership to provide input into ideas, into goals, into plans. It's also an opportunity for the club leadership team to share with its members the operations and what's going on within the club. For example, the recent Council of Legislation and the changes that have been brought forward actually gives clubs significantly more flexibility in how they decide to operate their club. So, for example, on meetings, I mean, we no longer have to attend weekly meetings. The minimum suggested in the Council of Legislation is 2 per month. But again, it's really up to the club and its membership to decide how they want to operate and what works best for them. I can't overstate the importance of open lines of communication. Transparency is always good. I think when your members realize that they've got, they feel like they know what's going on in the club, and they've really feel like they're part of the team. It's important that you keep them informed and keep them engaged. And that leads to the next point, involving all club members. And again, effective communications and club member engagement are probably 2 of the key things that really, we have strong statistics that tell us that That's a great retention strategy. Members will stay longer if they again feel like they're in the loop and they're doing something to contribute to the club. Ensuring continuity in leadership is also important because that's really about the future of the club. So just keeping everyone in having a succession plan is highly recommended. And amending bylaws to reflect the current club practices. I think, again, it's a transparency thing. But again, if your club wishes to continue with its current way of operating, that's up to the club and its leadership and its membership. So likely bylaw changes won't be required. But if you are going to be changing when you meet, how you meet, and how you operate, it may have an impact on your bylaws. Next slide, Marty. So a few more best practices, really providing opportunities for networking and socializing. And you probably may recall a slide we shared with you in the last webinar, which basically showed that there were two key factors for people joining Rotary and staying with Rotary. One of them was having local impact, but the other was socializing or networking or the big fellowship. So really, again, your club should be welcoming and providing new members and members who have been with the club for a long time the opportunity from time to time to really network, socialize, have fun, and fellowship on regular meetings. Offering regular and consistent training. Our district does have a training or learning and development team covering things like Rotary Leadership Institute, strategic planning. We're looking at expanding to some other areas, but we'd also suggest that clubs should, on a regular basis, provide in-house training in a number of different areas. So if you have a need, we would kindly ask you to reach out to our district training team, and hopefully we can help you with putting something together that can support your club where you feel training would be of benefit. And last but not least, and this is certainly not an all-inclusive list, but assigning committees that support your club's needs. Committees are multifunctional, obviously, but essentially they're there to encourage, they support member engagement, and as we said earlier, members that are engaged are likely to stay with the club, and they're also the primary means of getting the work of the club done. So these are some of the best practices of a Rotary club. So I should ask Marty before I hand it over to Pat, do we have any additional questions or comments in our chat room? I don't see any, Marty, so I'm
No hands
guessing.
raised and no new chat comments.
Okay, so either we're clear or perhaps they're sleeping. I don't know. Anyway, let's move on, and Pat, if you could take over and start our deep dive into Rotary Club Central.
Thank you, Rick, and again, hello everyone. My task tonight is to just take you a little bit into Rotary Club Central and talk a bit about that as it pertains to some of the planning and information that you might need as you approach your year. Rotary Club Central has been around for 3 or 4 years, and it's Rotary's online tool to measure, to record goals, to measure progress toward goals, and it's a really valuable tool in the sense that many of the numbers that you might need are either provided there for planning or input there by Rotary on a regular basis to save you the trouble of having to search out some of that information from other sources. So it's important, I think, as a president that you understand and know about Rotary Club Central, and I think it's important that you share that with your boards and with your membership, but particularly those at the leadership level who need to know and understand some of the information that is available. So if we move to the next slide, we're going to get back to the planning guide that we've talked about both in the first webinar and earlier tonight. Rick spoke about it. And we've highlighted the membership portion, the start of the membership portion of the planning guide, one of the many sections in that guide. And you can see the type of information that's required, the number of members, the type of members, gender, length of time in Rotary. Those kinds of things are what the planning guide takes you through to try to get an understanding of your own club, to then build goals and strategies on that information. And so the question is, where do we find some of that information? And there's probably two sources. One, Club Runner does have some of this information, and Rotary Club Central is the other very important resource for you to use to source some of that data. Now, in order to get into Rotary Club Central, you need to first sign in to My Rotary, and in our last webinar, as Rick referenced earlier, we took you through that process for those who were not familiar with it. If you're still struggling with that, or if you weren't on the first call, I suggest you consult that September writing that Rick sent out that had the recorded webinar attached, and it will explain the process to you. But the bottom line is that you go to Rotary.org, you find My Rotary, you sign in, and when you do, you're going to see this particular screen, and it's a large screen, and so as we scroll down that screen, we get to a View Goals section, and on the left-hand, no, back, Marty. As you see on the left-hand side at the bottom, that circled area is Rotary Club Central, and there is a tab there that will launch you into Rotary Club Central for your particular club. So when we launch that, then we'll see this next slide that will show you two things. You've got the view on the side, and you will work with the club view. The other views are for other levels of the organization, but you will work with the club view. And across the top, there's three tabs: Your Club, Service, and Foundation Giving. And the membership information you will find under Your Club. Before we launch, though, into Your Club and have a look at that, let's do another poll. So I think we want to find out what the trend, in your opinion, has been in membership in North America over the past 4 years. Has it been up, has it been down, or has it been flat? See, the results are coming in. Just about everybody's in now. So Marty, let's show the result. So the result that you've suggested is that it's been down 68%, 32% of you suggesting it's been flat. Well, those who think it's been down have been paying attention. And so if we can move to the next slide, I'll show you the reality of what's going on. So the reality worldwide looks like this. So those red arrows, which are showing North America down, Japan down, and Australia down, those are the areas of the world that membership is a real challenge. South America, Africa, Asia, India are all growing in membership, and Europe is sort of neutral, not moving too much either way. So for us in North America, this needs to be a concern. Many of our clubs, many of our districts are shrinking in membership, and it's really important that if we're going to continue the good service that we do, if we're going to grow that service, then a stable and growing membership is really a critical need for us. So as presidents, membership is probably going to be one of your biggest priorities. Let's move on to another poll. So what has the trend in membership in our district been over the past 4 years? Again, the same answers: up, down, or flat. Okay, everybody's voted. So 63% of you saying it's been down, 5% saying up, and 32% saying flat. Well, again, the downers, that doesn't sound like a very good way to say that, but those who have shown down are in fact correct. Let's just go on and have a look at a couple of graphs that will show you the struggle that we've had with membership in our district. On this particular graph, you can see in 2012, 2013, our membership July 1st was 2,106 members. And if we move over to the next slide, you're going to see that July 1st, just this past summer, it was down to 1,889 members. So a loss of about 10% in membership. And so this, again, continues to be a struggle for us, as it is for the rest of North America. The district is the total of the clubs, and each of the clubs is the organization that you're going to be president of. And so it's really important that we each look at our part in this, and if we can get the majority of clubs turned around and stable or growing, then I think we can also begin to grow the district. Just a bit of a reminder here when we talk about membership. Rick alluded to it earlier, but membership is broken down into 3 or 4 categories. So recruiting new members is always important, but that's probably not been where our problem has been. We've been able to recruit members in many of our clubs, and certainly if you looked at the district and the number of new members over the past number of years, there has been a significant number. Engagement, which is of course how we keep people happy, how we keep them productive, how we keep them contributing, and the reason why they stay is probably where we need to really examine ourselves, examine our clubs, and ask ourselves if we're finding our membership is falling, whether we're doing a good job in this particular area. Because of course the next point on the slide is retention, and retention takes place when you've got engaged, happy, satisfied members. And so as we fall, I mean, there's many factors involved in why members leave our club, but certainly engagement, or in some cases lack of it, is a big one. So, and the last point there is it's really important that as clubs, as presidents, you pay attention to what we know from members who do leave us. Do we know the reasons? Do we know why they were unhappy? Were they simply transferred, or were they disgruntled, not involved, not engaged, not asked to do things? Those are important questions to have answered when somebody leaves your club. And I think too often people just sort of disappear, and we don't pay enough attention to their opinions. So it's important to have a process in place. So now let's...
You have some questions. You have some questions in the chat box, Pat.
Can we hold those till the end of this section, please, Marty, and then we'll deal with them?
Okay, just letting you know.
Just in a couple of slides here. So as we move to the next poll, let's take a look at your own club. What's the trend been in your own club over the past 4 years? Again, up, down, flat, or an option for I don't know here. Okay, everybody's in, Marty. Thank you. So, interesting bit of analysis. This one's all over the map. So we've got 26% of you who are telling us that membership has grown in your club. That's a great result if that's the case. And certainly you need to keep doing what in fact you are doing and continuing to build on that. About a third, 32%, are saying it's down. And it surprises me actually that that number is only 32%. I would have thought it would have been a little bit higher. But certainly that group needs to examine some of these things that we're talking about to determine how things need to change in order to stabilize and begin to grow in that particular marketplace or in that particular club. And flat, 37%. Again, that number is probably a little higher than I thought. So it's good to know that a number of the clubs are fairly stable and steady. We'll talk a little bit for that I don't know, or those who are not sure. We'll have a look at how you find that information here as we go forward. So let's, we're a bit of a break here going from this trend into to Rotary Club Central. So let's have a look at what those questions were, Marty.
Sorry, what are you asking?
We've got the break here to look at those questions. So what were the questions you were referring to?
Oh, that's what you're asking. Okay. Well, if you look in the chat box, see now, Yeah, will I be able to access this info since I won't become president until next July? And then another question was, do we ever survey outgoing members to see why they are leaving so we know how to address this downturn in membership? Another question, these graphs are interesting when you consider that they're...
Let me answer the first couple first. As far as getting the information, we'll talk about that in a moment, but as a president nominee, I think you're still able to get that information. What was the second question, Marty?
Do we ever survey outgoing members to see why they are leaving so that we know how to address this downturn in membership?
That's a great question. That's an activity that takes place at the club level, so you'll have to examine the clubs. I expect that there are some clubs that do that, and there might be a template out there. I think that's the next question, or one of the next questions, but it's probably not done nearly enough.
And these graphs are interesting when we consider that there has been new membership to Rotary as new clubs start up. So existing clubs would see a bigger effect.
Okay, comment there. Thank you for that comment. Okay.
And the last question, is there a template of an exit survey? Do you have an exit survey?
I don't have one at my fingertips, but I'm sure that we can find one, so Rick will undertake to have a look and see if we can find a standard one that we can share.
In fact, under membership resources, there is a template for exit interviews and surveying, and I think I can put my hands on that fairly quickly and send it out to everybody.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Rick. Okay, so let's go back to the slides, and we're back now to the Rotary Club Central slide, and this was the one we left, the slide that we saw after we registered in My Rotary and clicked on that and launched the Rotary Club Central button, or that button. So we're going to now look at your club, and this is a long page, and we're going to take 3 or 4 slides to work our way down the page. If you had it on your computer, you would see it. So right below that first page is this a set of graphs for your club that very quickly show membership and the trends that have taken place in several categories. In this case, we're looking at membership, and we're looking at a club that's grown. So that's a very positive thing. But this is a very quick snapshot, and the graphs very quickly tell you a fairly clear story. So that's the first section that you're going to see when you go into Rotary Club Central for your club. Sliding down a little further, you're going to see some data on the club and gender statistics, age trends, and so on. The interesting thing is the gender statistics, most of the members have that information input in the system, and so with very few exceptions, only 5, we get a good picture of the male-female split of, in this case, the district, but you would get this at your club level. So just tuck away in your mind that the district is 29% female, 71% male, and you'll have to satisfy yourself as to whether that's a statistic that you're comfortable with or one that you want to change. The age trends, again, here's an example of people and clubs not having updated profiles for their members. Basically, there's very few members that have age demographics in the system, in their profiles, and as a result, we don't have very good data here. So I guess a bit of a lesson in the importance of having up-to-date information and profiles on your members. So let's move on now. As we move down this page that I'm talking about, so we're at about the 3rd slide of this same page, we're into the areas of goals and progress, and I think I'm going to point out that there are 3 years across there, 2015, 16, 16, 17, and 17, 18, and we happen to be looking at the current year. And so in this particular club, you can see that the base number at the start of the year is there, the goal is there, and the year-to-date result is also there. If you were to move on to 217, 218 for you, where you would like to look at for inputting your own goals, you would move across that tab at the top, and this particular slide will open, and Obviously, there is no information there because you have not yet had a chance to input it. But there's a good chance, a good opportunity here, both to record goals and to monitor goals. So you would, on the top right in that red box there, is the place to launch edit. And when you do that, you're going to go into the actual section where you would record your goal. So right there where that red circle is, you would input the membership goal that you would have for the coming year there. You would save that, and that would then give you your records in the system. Now, I think it's important, the question came up a little earlier about who has the opportunity to do this. There's anybody in the executive group. I'm just looking back here for the actual list, but there are several in the executive group of the club. Once you're registered and showing up on the roster with RI, who are able to access and change. All members can access the results and see what's going on in their club, but in terms of actually entering goals or changing goals, it's limited to several people with that level of access. One of the things that I think we want to change this year is if you were to look at your current club, you would probably find, or probably 30% or 40% of you at most would find that goals are actually input for this particular year. Probably 60% of the clubs have no goals recorded in this area, and it makes it very difficult for you to manage if you've got nothing that you're managing against, and certainly becomes very difficult for Rick to look at the district and make any sense out of goals if only 30 or 40% of the clubs are participating in the process. This is a problem for us in our district, and one that I think Rick is committed to try to improve, and so by the time we get to pets, we hope that we're going to be able to see goals for all of the clubs, and that doesn't mean they can't be tinkered with between pets and the first of the year, but I think we want a process where we have a good goal setting process. I think if you go a little further down the page, you're going to see another category of Rotary engagement, and you'll see that there is an opportunity for you to input targets around participation in various service activities and part of various Rotary groups. And this is when you're planning and trying to address these kinds of things in your club, it's an opportunity to record those goals and to track yourself against those. Up at the top corner, I don't have it circled, but the word view is there. If you were the president, that word would actually be edit, and if you were to launch that edit, you would go into the next screen where in fact you would see the opportunity to input the goals. Move that one forward, please, Marty. You can move that slide, Marty, please. There we are. So on this, sorry, back one, yeah, there. So in this one, you'll see two things. You'll see the chance to put the goal in, so the percentage of members that are participating in these various activities, but also to record your achievement through the course of the year and at key points in the year for you. And I think it's important that you be aware that the presidential citation, and you'll hear more about that at PETS, but that's the citation that the Rotary president puts out there for clubs to try to achieve. Much of the information that is used to measure clubs against the goals that are set in the presidential citation are taken from these particular places, and so filling these out and recording some of these things are very important as it pertains to that particular award. I think as a best practice, it's really important that your board have a good sense of this information, what's in here, and of course, if you're setting goals in these particular areas, recording them here and tracking them here and using it as a tool as a board, not just as a president. So I'm just on to the last slide for me, Marty. I just want to point out to you that there are more areas in here than we've actually examined. Rick will take you into foundation, but in this particular area we've been in membership, Rotary engagement we've looked at, but there is a club communications section and a public relations section that we didn't scroll down to on that particular screen, and I would encourage you, when you have the opportunity to go in and play with this yourself, that you have a good look at those particular sections as well. And I think so. I'm just going to wrap up on the membership section. I encourage you to use the tool. It's becoming more sophisticated all the time and more robust as a tool as Rotary continues to work on it. It's important for planning, it's important for monitoring, and it's important for recognizing the results that you have or have not achieved over the course of time. So just maybe finish up and ask if there's any further questions on the membership section before I turn it over to Rick for some words on Foundation.
Okay.
Pat,
Here's the. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Pat, Corey Tetrek, President-elect for the Airdrie Club, has indicated that the membership section in My Rotary has this exit survey, and in his next communique, he's imported the link. So if people were to hit on that link, they can open that up and find that survey readily. So thanks, Corey, for sharing that. Tamara McCarran, so President-elect for the Millennium Club, has said in her comments, I had to change myself to president in order to change these goals, but I think as of January 1st, every president-elect should be able to change their goals for 2017 and 18. Ron Prokosh, president nominee for the Rotary Club of Calgary South, he is suggesting that exit interviews are usually best done 3 weeks after their departure, and I would suspect that's to do with perhaps there might be some emotional reasons for leaving the club. So with time, things kind of settle down. People become a little bit more, I guess, realistic in answering those questions. And Tamara has asked again, can I ask what the minimum number of goals you would like to see for next year, Rick? Well, I can tell you that Rotary International and our Zone 24 is really focusing and encouraging all clubs to submit goals, at least a minimum of, I'd say, 10 goals or several goals in each of those areas that Pat is actually, you see on the slide in front of you there: membership, Rotarian engagement, club communication, public relations. The information is readily available to answer a lot of these questions and help you set the goals, but you really need to focus on working with your existing club leadership and committees and with your new committees going forward, so that everyone basically has a look-see at what you're thinking in terms of goal setting, and that they support that, and then you can move forward with that. But I'm hoping that we'll have all clubs in our district with at least a couple of goals in each of those areas. Perfect world, I'd like to see, I think there's 26 or 30 goals total that Rotary International has set up in Rotary Club Central, and I would love it if all clubs had all their goals. It does take some work, I have to share that with you, but again, it just makes the district goals that much more meaningful when we have high participation rates from the clubs. Let's see, I think there was one other here. Yeah, one last one. Jim Sawyers is asking for, will presidential citation criteria be available before PETS? And the answer is yes. I will be going to the International Assembly in San Diego third week of January, and my understanding is that I will receive the presidential citation information at that point in time.
Yep, that's correct, Rick. And I just did go back on my notes in terms of the question about who can access information. It tells me here that presidents can access the information as long as they're incoming presidents, as long as they are registered in the RI database. So if you're having trouble with that, you may want to just confirm through your club secretary or directly yourself that in fact you're showing as the president-elect in the RI database. Okay, Rick, do you want to take over on Foundation?
Yes, thanks, Pat. I should mention again to everybody that Membership is Rotary International's and our district's #1 internal priority. And we're going to put a lot of emphasis and focus on both at the district and at the club level to really, I think we do a great job of attracting and recruiting new members. We just seem to have some challenges with keeping them beyond a year or two. So we need to really need to focus on membership. And you probably should have all seen the announcement from District Governor Neil Berg indicating that Tony Knight has had to step down as district membership chair, but we found an awesome replacement in Christine Rendell from the Rotary Club of Calgary East. Okay, so let's move on, Marty, to the next, to the Rotary Foundation area, and let's start off. Well, it's actually a quiz, not a poll, but we'd like to get your feedback on a number of questions here just to see what you think are the correct answer is in there in these various questions, but it's just to give us a perception of how you think our district is doing with respect to supporting the Rotary Foundation. So let's take a few minutes to answer those questions, please. How are we doing, Marty?
40%.
Okay, thank you.
%90%, 95%,
Awesome.
100%.
Okay, great. Awesome. So can you share the results there, Marty?
Can you see them? Oh, I have
No.
to click that button there. Okay.
So in 2015-16, the district's average per member contribution to the annual program fund of the Rotary Foundation was, and we had 4 choices there, and the correct answer is 100 and, no, sorry. Sorry, okay, I see how it's working here. So the group is saying that the correct answer is 120, but in actual fact, the correct answer is 460, and I'll comment on that in a second. Number 2, the number of Rotarians who are members of the Paul Hare Society, which means that they've given or pledged to give $1,000 US per year, or accumulatively have given $10,000 US. They become a member of the Paul Hare Society. And the group is saying 94, and that is the correct answer. Question number 3, the number of members who are every Rotarian every year within our district, and again the group is saying 727 is the correct answer, and again that is the correct answer. Or sorry, 37%. No, sorry, question 3, I'm skipping here.
50% answered the question correctly, but B is the correct answer.
Correct, yeah. The percentage of clubs that had targets last year for the annual fund, 50% of the clubs said 37%, and that is the correct answer. And how many clubs have made no contribution to the annual fund? 25% got the correct answer, which is 6. Okay, can we go back to the next slide, please, Marty? So this quiz was really intended to give you two things. One is a snapshot of the annual fund, which is one of three major funds within the Rotary Foundation. Not only to give you a snapshot of it, but to get your impression as to how well you feel the district is doing. But we also have to remind everybody that there is a Polio Plus Fund that's all about eradicating polio from the face of this earth. And then there is the World Fund or Endowment Fund, which is really all about future sustainability of the foundation. So from this survey, we can see that at $460 plus per member per capita, this is actually a very good result. And in fact, I'm proud to say that this, on a district basis, is the highest across Canada. With Paul Harris Society members at 94, this is another great number. But we do have some, I'll call it, opportunities for growth. Only roughly a third of our members are contributing $100 US every year, every Rotarian every year. That's what qualifies them for that category. So there's a great opportunity to grow that, and part of the reason I think we need to grow it is that this is actually in Zone 24 West, which is about, I believe, around 10 districts. That's the lowest across those 10. So we need to pull up our socks here. In terms, only 37% of the clubs have actual foundation goals. And to be honest, I have to tell you that I feel uncomfortable about encouraging people to contribute to the Rotary Foundation because I think that's a personal choice. It's a personal decision as to where you donate your dollars. But when I see things or hear things like we've had recently this year about 3 major organizations that track not-for-profit charity organizations, and all have ranked the Rotary Foundation as either number 1 or in the top 3. And when I see what this foundation has been able to do around the world and in our communities through district grants and through global grants, to me it's really a no-brainer. It's a great cause, and that we should continue to support it. Obviously, when we look at that $460 per member, I think we have to also correctly position it. We have had the benefit of a very large bequest and some very large single donor contributors from very generous Rotarians across our district. So that is really helping us out there in terms of an average per capita, the highest across Canada. But there's always opportunities to improve, and I think we need to look at ways of doing that, and you can help us with that by setting goals within your club. And a simple target could even be just getting every member to contribute annually as much as they can and afford to contribute. A second step could be to get them to step up to every Rotarian every year, which is $100 US per member. And many clubs are already there, and of course we have a challenge this year with the Rotary Foundation being 100 years old, so there's a couple of challenges out there that I think clubs are starting to take up. So we are a strong district with regards to contributing to the Rotary Foundation. I want to reiterate that point, but I also have to say there's still opportunities for growth. Now, to help you with setting goals, let's move to the next slide, because this information is also pre-populated in Rotary Club Central. And I take you back to a slide that Pat showed earlier where we have views on the left, and again you'd be focusing on your club view, and there are 3 tabs at the top: your club, which is largely the membership information that we've went through. There's the service projects, and then this last tab is foundation giving. What you see here is the district summary view, but you would also be able to see the club view. So next slide. We would launch that foundation giving and slide, and if you scroll down under the trends subsection, you can very quickly back up, Marty, please. You can very quickly see how things are are doing, and this happens to be tracking of a club's annual fund contributions over 5 years. So the red line in the graph is the goal, and the I guess it's green line is year to date, and so you can see across the 5 years there that you can see very quickly what the trends are, and by seeing those trends, it's always possible that you can react and respond to them by establishing some strategies to turn it around. Next slide. When we get into setting your goals and your progress, this is an example of a particular club, and what we're highlighting here is the current year, 2016-17 view, and you can see that in the year previous, the club had contributed to the annual fund 15,000, almost 16,000 US dollars to the annual fund. This year, they've upped it up a little bit to 16,000, which is always good to see some growth. And if you look at the thirds area there, you can see that year to date, they've contributed 8,800 US dollars. Now, if everything continues at the same trend, and one shouldn't necessarily assume that, you could basically have a year-end estimate of probably 17,000 US, but you've got to watch this, track this, and if things look like they are falling back, then put plans into place to deal with that. So it's a very effective tool to track where you are. Now, moving on to 2017-18, similar to membership, you activate that tab, and you see the edit button show up. And again, when you click on the edit button, you can type in your target for that particular year, for 17-18. What this means is that, as you see on that slide, this is the annual fund, but you have the same opportunity to go through the same trends, goals, progress, and goal setting for the annual fund, the Polio Plus Fund, major gifts, and the endowment fund. So again, Rotary Club Central has a lot of that information in there. It's pre-populated, and it's fairly up to date. I'm not sure exactly how often they update it, but it's a pretty live and vibrant database, so you should be able to get information that you are required to help you with your planning and goal setting, fairly accurate information in a timely manner. Next slide. So again, come back. I just want to reiterate, it's important that you review your planning guide and your best practices. This will really will help you in your planning and preparation for your year ahead. Be sure to really work openly and closely with your club president and their committees, respecting the fact that they have the goals or should have goals and responsibilities and plans in place already. And if you work with them as a team, I think you'll find that it also helps with continuity from year to year. So just to add another best practice to leave you with, reviewing the content of each committee manual, and you should have received a whole set of community lead your club manuals for like your secretary, treasurer, and your different committees. I would encourage you to go to Rotary Club or to My Rotary and download those so you have an electronic copy. Hand the hard copy over to those respective people in your area. And I would really encourage you to quickly scan through those to see. There's usually some, I'm going to call it gems of wisdom in there that you might want to utilize to help you, again, set your goals. Provide the link to your respective committee chairs so they too can download or have these various manuals electronically. I really encourage you to meet with either your current chairs or the chairs of your committees that you will have as club president. Work with both groups to, again, to understand what they're doing, where they've come from, and what direction you want to move forward in. And again, it's important to review what they have done and where they're at in terms of their goal setting. Next slide. I know everybody likes a little bit of homework in this day and age, and in keeping with the thought that good preparation and planning for your year as president is really a journey, and the journey is the important part. Keeping in mind as well that your committees are and will be engaged in this process with you, or should be. We really want you to be prepared for productive sharing at our March Orientation and Planning Workshop, aka PETS, which, by the way, is a terminology I don't really like, but that's the way it is. So we're planning to send you early in the new year a small assignment that will require you to catch up in your planning and goal-setting exercise, and we're going to ask you to input your 2017-18 goals prior to PETS, or if you're not able to do that, really to bring them with you, because our plans are at the PETS session is to really have a workshop, an interactive session, a sharing of goals amongst the clubs, because we think this can also strengthen your club by hearing what others are doing in terms of best practices. And we will ask you as well to provide some key strategies to support some of your goals that you wish to achieve. How you want to get there is as important as what you want to achieve. So with that, I would like to close off this section, but also ask the question, do we have any further questions or comments in I don't see any down there. I just see some comments which everybody should be able to see. So I would like to pass it on to Charlene to navigate us through the district website and what she feels would be important for President-elects to know about what information is available and how you can share information on the website. So Charlene?
Good, thanks very much. Good evening, everyone. I'm Charlene Bearden. My title is District Administrator, which doesn't really indicate the range of abilities, knowledge, and assistance that I do provide to members, clubs, and district leaders. I'm available to assist or give you the right contact to find the information you need if you have not been able to find it on your own, and that's what tonight is all about. The district website is meant to be an instant source of information for all members, but in particular executives. And it's laid out in a manner where all the information is available at first click, a nod to our District 5360, where we're working to provide a full 360-degree view of everything you need and to provide you with a great experience in all district aspects. First, we'll review the website as it looks to anyone visiting, and then we'll sign in and see additional functionalities available. The front page, next, Marty. Instantly, you can view a text listing by date of all the district events under upcoming events in the bottom left, and any club events that have been selected to be viewed on there as well. And then the Rotary in action in the middle at the bottom is a place to highlight current and upcoming newsworthy items. And those pictures will always be changing, so it will look different and interactive and innovative every time you come in. Next. About 5360 on the red circle there contains the information about the district from leadership, membership, governance, and the all-important insurance information, which is accessed a lot. Next. District officers, if you had clicked on that selection, you can review the whole list of district leadership roster and email anyone by hovering over their name until that box comes up of their information, and then you can click on the email icon that's available and click to email them any sort of question that you might want to contact them about. So people listed on this page in brief are The current DG, Neil Berg. The DGE, Rick Istead, is available there. Communications Chair, Chris Harper. Grants Subcommittee Chair, Don Taylor. Strategic Planning for your club, Martin Harvey. And any of the youth service chairs and many others. And they're all available to assist you and your club. The next tab over is district areas of service, highlighting some of the programs operated by the district for your benefit. The volunteer screening is perhaps the most accessed under this tab. Here you'll find the youth protection policy, all documents relating to it, and how to complete and file the police information check. As well, on the right-hand side, the local police services have been updated for your information and quick reference. You can scroll down there and there's lots of highlighted links that will provide you additional information. The next tab is Events, where you'll find more of the district calendar, and then use the circled arrows to move between the months and go forward usually, and then see what's upcoming. And of course there's information on the convention, or our district conference and the international convention. And then Rotary International has a calendar of all of their dates and months and years upcoming. So you can click on any of those for additional information. And now we're going to log into the website, the district site. So up in the top right-hand corner, you can see Member Login, and you can use the same username and password that you're using for your club site. You click the Member Login in the upper right-hand corner, and then it takes you to the login screen. And then most people choose to click Keep Me Logged In, so it remembers your login name and password. And then click Login, and it brings you back to the front screen. And then in the upper right-hand corner, it will say Welcome, your name, and you click on the member area to go into the back administration portion of the website. So we've circled admin and administration for you here to quickly get the listing of a lot of the editing functions that you have. Anything that is available to you is in blue, and anything that isn't available to you is grayed out. So you're not going to be able to access things that you don't need to be worried about, and anything that you can access, you can certainly play and make changes to. Next is the membership tab and the district dashboard. Membership and dashboard is highlighted there, and you can see how the district is doing in member numbers and distribution, and then of course how your own club is doing. And it gives you a membership history report, the gender distribution, and age distribution. I know a fair number of members do not like to put in their year of date of birth, but it's only available to the executive of the club and no one else, like not regular members. So if you want to see where your club is doing in the age distribution, it's suggested to update those numbers. Next, we're clicking on the member tab again and member search, and this is something that everybody really enjoys using once they realize that they can search for any member in the district. So if you met Susan at an event last month and you want to find out where more contact information, put in the first name, click search, and you'll probably get 8 or 10, but you can probably narrow it down from information, and then you can certainly reach out and contact whoever you're looking for. Clubs and membership is next. You can view your own club roster here and their particular details of their membership account within here. And then the next one is really important for yourselves to update your executives for your year. And right beside what it will come up with is 2016-17, and then you click on the next year to get to what we've highlighted as 2017-18. And you can see that some have been entered in Tamara's Calgary Millennium, but as she talks to people and figures out her executive, she'll be updating them here. And this information then flows up to Rotary International. Club Runner does talk to Rotary International. The information doesn't come back from Rotary International, so if you think that updating at Rotary International will work just as well, it doesn't flow back down. So if you don't want to do your work twice, do it here first, and then it's populated at Rotary International. When you fill in the positions, the position is used within the database on the back end so that we can communicate specifically with the president with an email, or the secretary with an email, or membership. So when you're using those titles, they are used more than just to name somebody in your club. There's all kinds of background activity that we can direct messages to people. So that in that way you want to get your roster filled out and have people responsible and looking after those positions, and you're just there monitoring and helping in the presidential position, but everybody has a role to play. Next. Oh, I'm done. Look at that. Easy peasy. By using Club Runner a couple times, if you just want to go back for a second, Marty, it becomes easier and easier, just like everything that we do. I do want to say that Club Runner was built on the Chrome web browser, and if you're experiencing problems using any other browser, it might be a good idea to go and switch to Chrome and then see how your results compare. And most times people find that switching to Chrome fixes all the kinks. And certainly I run a couple of browsers, and if something doesn't work on one, it generally works on another. I've got Chrome, Firefox, and Internet Explorer. So it's just a little tidbit for you. But that is it for me. And of course, we're all here for help and assistance when and if you need it. I think you'll be well on your way, though. Thank you.
Thanks, Charlene. As I'm sure everyone can appreciate what Charlene has shared with you regarding the district website is just the tip of the iceberg. I thought she was going to say it, but you know, get in there and just navigate around and open up windows. Just spend a little time on there, because once you get in there and see what's available to you in the way of information, or how you can share information with others using the District Club Runner website, I think you'll find it a very useful reference tool. I'd like to think that I'm probably on the district website daily, checking out stuff, and I use that search tool quite a bit. But again, it's just a wealth of information. So tonight, in this webinar, we've really tried to focus on a couple of areas to help you with your planning and preparation. Those being just a reminder of from last webinar, we showed you how to get to the planning guide for an effective Rotary Club and the Lead Your Club President's Manual. Again, two highly useful and foundational reference documents for you. This evening we focused on two key aspects of the information that's available in Rotary Club Central. We talked mostly about membership and the Rotary Foundation in terms of trends, allowing you to monitor those trends, to set your goals, and to track your goals. And then, of course, wrapping up with Charlene in terms of the district website, which again is another parallel and comparable resource tool for you as club president. And again, we're here to help. So if you do have questions regarding any of what we shared with you, we'll be please reach out to us. So some key dates to kind of bring the webinar to close. Just remind you that probably by mid-January you'll get your pre-PETS homework assignment. Has pretty much been stated already this evening, but we will focus on getting that in writing out to you. The orientation and planning workshop is on March 17th and 18th, and reminder that it is considered a mandatory event for all president-elects to attend. It'll kick off with a dinner on the Friday evening. It's being held at the Grey Eagle Resort, and the Saturday session will be largely a learning and sharing day. Again, the district conference, would love to see you there and have the privilege and the pleasure to introduce you and your partner. The conference is in Red Deer at the Sheraton Hotel, May 5th to the 7th. And if you haven't registered and want to save a few dollars, please do so. The early bird registration fee expires at the end of this month, December 31st. Then we've planned for one final webinar on the 20th of June, and that will be sort of the last. You'll be up to deck, ready to go to bat, and we'll hopefully have some last-minute information to help you transition into your new role. And of course, we encourage you and any members of your club, even the new members that have just joined, if you want to get a great orientation, onboarding, and learning opportunity, sign up for one of the Rotary Leadership Institute modules. And all of those dates and locations are listed on the district calendar. So in terms of next steps, again, just a reminder, if you haven't already, set rotary.org as your favorite on your favorite web browser, and really be sure you can sign into My Rotary, because if you're having trouble, let us know. We're here to help. But again, it's important that you do use the tool that's available there. I think you'll find it quite helpful. Continue to work through your President's Manual and really work with your current and future committees on your planning guide for an effective Rotary Club, and keep an eye open for that assignment, which is will be coming out, as I said, in mid-January. Last slide, Marty. First of all, I want to thank very much my co-hosts this evening, Charlene, Pat, and Marty, for all of their efforts, not only delivering this webinar, but all of the hard work that they put into preparing for it. So thank you to the three of you. I also want to thank everyone here that's been able to join us this evening, spending time with us. These webinars and the orientation and planning workshop coming up in March are really all about helping you prepare for taking on your club's leadership role. And just a friendly reminder again that workshop is mandatory, and by the way, your club has already prepaid for you to be there, so take that opportunity. What you really put into your planning and preparation is really what you'll get out of it as your club president. So I really encourage you, if you've not already started your planning process, to really start kicking it into high gear in the new year. After you've signed off from this webinar, you will receive a short follow-up evaluation, and we'd really appreciate if you take a few minutes to provide us with your feedback. Someone, wise man, once said, nothing that's measured will never improve, so it's really all about continuous improvement. So we do take your suggestions, comments seriously. And later this week, probably Thursday or Friday, everyone will receive a copy of the webinar recording along with a set of the PowerPoint slides and we've even got a little short video on membership that we think you'll find interesting. So thanks again, everyone. Have a great evening, and on behalf of the four of us, I'd like to wish you a Merry Christmas to you and your families. Thank you, and good evening.